Hey, I'm John Cannell, and today on Preppy Kitchen, we're making some delicious, creamy potatoes au gratin. So let's get started. First off, preheat your oven to 350, and now it's time to peel 3 pounds of potatoes. The number of potatoes totally depends on their size. And just like that, my potatoes are all peeled. You can give them a rinse if they're kind of dusty. Now, we're gonna thinly slice these to be about 1/8 of an inch thick. If you have a great mandolin and you're not afraid of it like I am, you could use that. It's the one thing I've banned from my kitchen. Aim for about 1/8 of an inch thick for each of your potato slices, nice and thin so they cook evenly. This dish comes from the Dauphine region of France. I always thought they were named after the Dauphin and Dauphine, but I was wrong. That would be like the heir apparent in the French monarchy. But apparently it's a region of France. And au gratin just means that it's gonna be covered with cheese and breadcrumbs. By the way, if you like my videos, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. There's 2 new recipes every week. For this recipe, you should really use russet potatoes. They're so starchy that it'll help bind your gratin together, but you could definitely use Yukon Gold if you prefer. I know they're delicious and creamy. 3 pounds of potatoes, all sliced up, 1 large onion to go. We're gonna halve it down the middle, and now cut that into thin slices, please. These will get shingled between my potato slices for some lovely flavor. Once everything's sliced up, you have a choice. You could season a little bit in between each layer, or we can transfer the potatoes into a bowl and season them all at once. 1/2 teaspoon of salt, just sprinkle as you move these around. And about 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper. This is such a great decadent side dish. It's a lovely way to dress up potatoes, and it's so nice for a potluck or just to make a dinner a bit more special. It helps that you can make this in advance because, yes, this is more prep than mashed potatoes. My potatoes are all seasoned, so it's time to assemble. Grab an 8 by 8 inch dish, and we're going to get to work. Any 2 to 3 quart baking dish will work, by the way, so you have some options. Grab a big stack of these and lay them out. Then you're gonna grab some onion slices and lay them in between every few potatoes. These will really melt away during baking. So grab a big stack of these, lay them out. Nice thing about these slices is that they kind of just want to come together in that shape. I'm just gonna do the rest of this casserole dish, and then I'm gonna place the onions in last. My last potatoes are going in, and you can see that I do need to kind of angle them a bit, but that's great, because that gives me more space for the sauce to flow into. Now that it's all laid out, we can add our onions in and just fill in any gaps. You're adding flavor. Two things. Don't be seduced by the idea of having a perfect pattern, these beautiful fish scales. This is getting covered in cheese sauce, and it's gonna be just a big mountain. No one will know, so don't worry about that. Also, if you have way more onion than you need, that can be used for something else later. You don't have to fit a full onion in here. It's really just to get some more flavor into these potatoes. This, by the way, could be assembled the night before, so you could have this ready to go into the oven, which is great for things like Thanksgiving or big gatherings where you don't want to stress out and be busy the day of. You can also bake this for an hour, take it out of the oven, let it cool down completely, then refrigerate it, and then bake for 40 minutes a day or 2 later when you want to have this heated up. You will have to add an extra 1/4 cup of cream or milk over the top when you reheat it so it doesn't dry out. My shingled onions and potatoes are ready to set aside while I make a delicious bechamel sauce to pour over. The star of this is not the potatoes and onions, it is a lovely bechamel sauce filled with cheese. We're gonna use 1/2 cup of Gruyere, which is 60 grams, and it's similar to Swiss cheese. It's excellent for cheese sauces. A nice bechamel sauce filled with cheese is the basis of mac and cheese. So many delicious things. If you like the idea of this but don't feel like slicing all those onions and potatoes and waiting for so long to bake, you could just use this cheese sauce with some pasta and be quite pleased. I'm also using 1 cup of shredded cheddar, that's 120 grams. And I'm using a nice flavorful cheddar today, nothing mild for us. I'm using a white cheddar today. You could use a yellow, you could use a lovely red cheddar, and if you wanted a bit more sharpness, you could add half a cup of Parmesan cheese sprinkled right over the top. This mandolin's full. There we go. Why are the potatoes so delicious? Oh, I don't know. Just are. My cheese is all shredded up, and now we're gonna make the sauce. So set this aside and grab a medium pot. The base of your bechamel sauce is a roux, which is gonna be cooked butter and flour. It forms a creamy thickening agent for the milk, cream, and cheese later on. Grab a 1/4 cup of unsalted butter. I think it's helpful if it's room temperature, but it could be cold. You'll also want 2 cups of whole milk that should be heated up to 100 to 110 degrees, so it's nice and steamy. We're gonna pop the pot onto medium heat. Add your 1/4 cup of butter. It's about 56 grams. As soon as your butter's melted, we're gonna sprinkle in 3 tablespoons of flour while whisking. No lumps for us. 2. And 3. You want to cook this whisking constantly for 2 minutes so the flour is not raw. You'll notice this takes on a bit of color as the flour begins to toast and the butter begins to brown. Now we're going to drizzle the warm milk in while whisking. The warm milk and the constant whisking will help you avoid lumps as well and give you a really silky base. You're gonna keep whisking and cooking until this begins to bubble and thickens slightly. That tells you the flour is doing its work. My sauce is bubbling and it's thickened slightly, so it's time to take this off heat and add our cheese in. You don't want to add the cheese over heat because it could break and that would not be silky, it would be unpleasant. Off heat, you can stir in your cheese, so add that in and stir until melted. Earlier in the video, I measured out quite a lot of cheese. That was incorrect. I say the right thing and I've corrected it, but you'll see a mountain of cheese that was made, so I have a lot extra left over. This is so cheesy. I almost forgot, we were gonna add 3/4 of a teaspoon of salt and half a teaspoon of black pepper. Stir that in. And now we're gonna pour that right over our potatoes. This cheese sauce smells amazing. Smooth that out so there's full coverage. Cover with foil. You can pop this into the fridge now if you want to make this a day ahead, or into the oven 350 for 1 hour covered. Then remove the foil and bake an additional 20 to 30 minutes or until the top is golden. Allow it to cool slightly, and just like that, your potatoes au gratin are ready to enjoy. That's just spectacular. The potatoes are creamy and soft. They're bathed in a creamy, cheesy sauce, and the onions are just the icing on the cake. It is the perfect decadent side dish. I hope you get a chance to make this delicious recipe, and if you like my videos, hit that subscribe button and check out my potato playlist.